we're just gonna go ahead and get started. Um, okay, hi again, everybody. Um, are you getting sick of me bringing in people from my high school? That sucks because here's another one. Um, Crit Fisher is New Albany's resident lighting designer, does all of our like good old photography work, including my headshots. Check them out. They're pretty good. Anyways, only thanks to Crit. And just a great, wonderful person all around. And he's going to be talking to us about designing in a high school setting and doing some theater marketing. Cool. So I'm going to let him take it away.
Great. Thanks so much. Just so that you know, normally I'm speaking to high school, so it's nice to speak to the high school part two, which is the college level. So I appreciate that. So thanks for the introduction. I'm going to go on. I don't know how many people like your PowerPoints, because usually people do death by PowerPoint, but I promise you, this is more of a question and answer. So at any point, please interrupt me, because Lord knows that Chelsea interrupted me plenty of times when we were in the shows, especially when she had to fly, and which was always, yeah, put it down. We know exactly. So anyway, just let me know if you could see that screen. Yes. Awesome, great. So I titled this Sightlines and Secrets, just because I've had a very interesting pathway to where I am right now. And so I wanted to kind of walk you through that, because I know you all are in different areas. This is all theater education, correct, Chelsea? All right, so eventually you all are going to wind up being in a position where you may work alongside someone like myself, or in the collegiate setting, in the high school setting, even the middle school, grade school. As the arts continue. We had this weird transition here where arts went away, but now arts are coming back, which is great. Obviously great for you all who are doing this as a career. Anyway, so I'm just going to kind of walk you through just a little bit about myself and all that fun, exciting stuff. So who am I, right? Oh, you like that, don't you? So that's my own headshot, right? So I actually put the camera up and took the shot myself, just because I didn't like other people taking a picture. So I went to high school here in Southern Indiana, Providence High School. They had a very small theater program that was a gymatorium. So we used to build a thrust out. And that's kind of where I was introduced to theater. The only reason was because I didn't like my AP Lit class. I really didn't. I hate to read. And so, yeah, don't repeat that. But so for extra credit, they asked me if I want to do property design for MAME. And I don't know if any of you all know what MAME was. That's a really old musical. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. And that's where I kind of fell in love with it, and just kind of found my way around doing from props to lighting. I didn't really dabble in much sound, and then also performed on the stage. And as I transitioned into college, I actually got a Rasmussen Theatrical Arts Award, which paid for half of my college education. And through the years, just continued, as when I couldn't be on the stage, I had to put in hours as part of the scholarship that I received. So I wound up finding other ways to create an impact, on the art, so that I didn't have to be on the stage, although I do love to perform, haven't been able to do it for quite some time. So that backstage area really helped propel me through college. And then my senior year, I was actually nominated for the oh good lord, oh good, I was gonna say Irene Ryan, but that's the acting one, the Barbizon Theatrical Design Award, my senior year, for the Baltimore Waltz. And that was really cool, because I had to put my board together. I had to have all my cues, all my research. I took that to the festival, which at that point, my senior year, was when I saw Ball State take Jesus Christ Superstar, when they had all female high priestess, which was really rocked the world. But it was such a great show. And in fact, Hannigan Roseberry, who is a graduate of Ball State, and I are still really good friends. And that's the first time that I saw her, was in that production. From then I went on and I got my degree. I did journalism, so I was a photographer, and the theater kind of was on the back burner for a while. And then lo and behold, one of my really dear friends, who was a producing director at a small high school called Charlestown, which is just up the street, got hired as the stage manager for Actors Theater of Louisville. And so she had to leave her position, and she said, "Hey, Crit, do you want to come in and do this?" We were in college together, and I thought, "Oh, yeah, I'll just do it for a little bit." And lo and behold, here I am now. Gosh, that's 20, 24, 25 years later, and I'm still doing high school theater as my break for my real job. My real job, and Chelsea, it's funny, isn't it? So I work with surgeons and teach them how to do surgical procedures. So you're talking about night and day, the differences between what I do during the day and then what I do at the night. It's crazy. But again, through my professional career, you meet a lot of people, right? And the theater community, and I don't know how it is up in Muncie, but here in Southern Indiana, it's really tight knit. So everyone kind of knows each other. And when Chelsea, when we were talking before, talked about Shakes, so I know, all the group that works Shakespeare Theater. Louisville, all kinds of the theater scene down here. But when I was in high school, I always saw these shows at New Albany High School. And my school, little bitty, remember Gymatorium, and they had this amazing theater program, which has been 2 years nominated for the outstanding theater in the country. And so I always said I would love to work there. And lo and behold, again, how the pathways work. The My daughter's tap dance instructor was Amy Harpenow. And I knew Amy Harpenow because Amy Harpenow, back when she was in high school, competed for the Miss Harvest Homecoming pageant, which feeds into Miss Indiana. And I was the producer for that. So I did all the lighting, sound set for that show. And so I knew her from high school. Then I knew her when she taught my daughter. And then when she came to New Albany, she said, "Hey, Crit, do you still like do lighting on the side?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "You want to come to New Albany?" I was like, "Yeah." So yeah, so I came into New Albany, and that's kind of how I ended up where I was. So that's a little bit about me. So moving forward, some stuff that you want to know, some of the topics that I said I would talk about today is lighting, sound, and marketing. And I can tell you, I came from a one person show, and it made it very, very difficult. But it did. I will tell you, it helped me immensely grow into the professional that I am today, because I had to do everything. Now, you want to hopefully find programs where you can be the director, or you can be the producer, or you can be a choreographer, whatever you're going to do, and you have surround yourself with people that have those skills. But boy, it sure helps to have the background in all the areas, and then also having been an actor as well. It just makes it a little bit even more different, because I can step into the shoes of what it's like to be up on that stage, and Crit Fisher shooting confetti cannons off across my head, and how do I react to that? So really fun, exciting stuff. So we'll start out lighting first, okay? So I like this. It's pretty true that modern stage lighting is a flexible tool in the production of theater, dance, and other performance arts. Right? We know, at least from what I should say, you all are way too young to know. But back in the day, when all you had was lights up, lights down, and you had a board that was about this big, and and you had to do crossfades and all this stuff. You couldn't get as creative. But now, with the advancements in lighting control and the different types of lights that are out there, um, you dramatically can impact a production. But in the same breath, sometimes you don't have to have all that whiz bang stuff. You don't need it. So it's really about what? It's about the art, right? It's about you all as theater educators, all the time that you'll be putting in directing these shows. It's about the performance, right? Crit Fisher's lights enhance the performance. The costumes enhance the performance. But we know from history there we could do theater is theater, right? You can do it with no costumes, no lighting, no sound, whatever. It's based on the people. So it's a again an enhancement. So one of the things is specifically as relates to lighting for me are these 5 categories, right? Or 6 categories. Important, right? You have to have your research. So most lighting designers that I have, at least within the high school, they don't understand that piece of it, and understanding, what light actually looks like outside, right? So use of photography, stuff in the magazines, things like that, because you want to be able to recreate those things. So a lot of my ideas come from the world that surrounds me, and then 10% of it's luck. So you got that piece of it. You need to know what your inventory is. You need to understand how to do a light plot, how you hang in focus, when you hang in focus. Chelsea, coming from New Albany Theater Arts, knows that in the past, I would get we didn't have a whole lot of inventory, and so I would have to order, and my stuff would come in the Friday before the Monday of Tech Week. So I would spend the greater part of 3 days, almost 3 full days. Like I actually one time when we did Shrek, I slept in the auditorium because I was queuing until 5 o'clock in the morning, and I had to get up the next day and just continue. So hanging in focus, queuing, all that fun stuff, and then production meetings. And if I can stress anything to you all as educators, when you graduate and you have your own programs, production meetings are the most critical part to successful production. I cannot tell you how many times I've worked in situations where I've tried to get this scheduled, or I've worked with the stage manager. And this is not just in a high school setting, this is semi-professional, professional. And you come in and you have the idea of what the director told you the week before, but there's been no communication. And the next thing you know, the scenic designers put a big piece of set in front of your lights. And guess what? You can't shoot light through a big piece of wood. So essentially, those are such an important piece. So, taking that away is making sure that you have those production meetings. I have gotten to where, so Miss Miller, who's the producing director and choreographer here, we talk almost daily as it gets closer to the show. And what I might miss in a rehearsal, she's very good about emailing me. We've trained the newer stage managers, the younger stage managers versus the kids who thought they were stage managers, and hey, I'm a stage manager, and they could not call the show because they could only call one aspect of it, right? A stage manager can call all aspects of the show. That's what they're supposed to do. But some of these newer kids are really good about emailing me too, which is great. So again, production meetings, key. So when it comes to the lighting, I use Vectorworks. I don't know what the program they use up there. There's all different types of programs, but Vectorworks allows me to produce a lighting plot just like this, and I can give it to the kids in the technical theater. I'll blow it up a little bit so you can see it even bigger. This is essentially our inventory. So I have every batten labeled, I have every instrument labeled, and then I have my magic sheets, I have my hanging plot. I can give this to the kids and they can go based off of that. I even went as far as when we got our lighting upgrade on every one of the electric battens, I measured off every foot increments, and it's on the back of the batten. So 1, 2, 3, all the way, or I go 2, 4, 6 all the way down, so that literally I can give this to anyone and they can say on batten number 3, position number 3, this is where this instrument's going to go, and they can do it. And it's great. That's made my job so much easier. And so again, with this plot, everything that I do, I'm on a technical theater blog, and people didn't understand when I said I start with my rep plot every single time. So what's up there, I always go back to that. So there's no at the beginning of the show having to take stuff down and move it around, because that just wastes time, and no one we don't ever have enough time. So I go right back to the rep plot when everyone else is striking the sets and costumes and sound and all that stuff. Kids are moving the rep plot back to where it needs to be. So that's where I start with. But it's great. And this is a great program. It's a free program. Excuse me. It's a free program. And so again, as you all graduate and you move on to whatever your next step in the career is, download Vectorworks. It's free. The only thing you have to worry about, they put this little watermark, but okay, it's a watermark. It's a free program. I love it. And it does all the things for you. Like I said, I can print out my magic sheet. I can just print out, what's my inventory, all that good stuff. So that's Vectorworks. So I wanted to show you part of that. So again, that's just a really high level of lighting. And then it's really about the design and understanding, what you're trying to go for. And so part of my lighting, just a gallery of some of the shows that I've done. So this is Godspell. And we did the newer version of Godspell. So a lot of different, the music's quite different. And So in this particular case, when I was working with the scenic designer, we talked about, using, hardwood and staining the hardwood, and you'll see a better picture of it later. And then when I was talking to the producer, I said, I think this, if we got this nice wood, I think it's cool to kind of to balance it out with the harsh steel of truss. So you can see the truss that was going up on both sides of it. And I used that truss throughout the show. I had color in the top of the truss and the bottom of the truss. So as it shined through, I could just illuminate the truss. So during scene change, maybe that's all you saw. It really depended upon the scene. But here's a different look of it. So again, Godspeed. So yeah, that natural, all the natural wood was beautiful. And then this is our first dabble in projections, and so she couldn't. Again, Miss Miller, in her wisdom and thinking about this, you know, based on religion, when you go back. So I was brought up Catholic, so part of being Catholic is receiving the Eucharist, and the Eucharist is round. And so she, again, as we were talking, because we were both Catholic, we said, how cool would it be to, instead of just doing a square projection and project on it, or trying to project on, do vector mapping, how about we just have this little round thing? And for those who will get it, that is the round, like a host. And so we use that as projection. We did projections all over there. And I don't know, can you all see my cursor moving? You can. I think I might be able to pick someone out. I don't know where she is in this one. No, that's not. Can't find. Where are you in that one? Where are you?
The pink tutu.
Oh, there you are.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, you might recognize that person there. And then finally, again, it's all about creating mood, right? So you have this. This is the big scene and color, and I had side lighting, almost like a dance concert versus a true theatrical. That's how I wanted to make it happen. And then you had to get it really, really intimate. And so it's kind of one of those things, when you all have seen your shows, and you've seen tons of shows, you get those chilling moments, right? Where you see something happen, and the hair on your arm stand up, or the hair on the back of your neck. So this is one of those scenes. All right, so this is the by my side scene. Okay, so if you imagine, so you can see over here, you can see the side light, and so each boom had side light up and down. Then I had purchased these individual, like, hanging pieces, right? And I put in the old squirrel cage incandescent lighting. So the music goes down and it starts getting real quiet, and they're getting ready to sing by my side. And then these illuminated pieces come in from above. And it just really just set that scene. And people were just like, oh, and yeah, you could hear people crying. I love that. That's the best thing ever, right? When you move the audience to tears, and it's not because the show stinks, it's really because they're moved by the show. So that's always a cool piece. But this was a real pretty. And then this was a really interesting for me, because from a sound designer, because there's the band. So it was really, really difficult. In fact, it's the first time that I've ever run a direct feed from the band into the actual board. Normally, with an orchestra, you have the live sound. So I fed them into the board so that I could control, because with the band being back behind them, they were amplified even more, because they were amplified through the actual microphones of the performers. So that's just, again, one of my shows. This is Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast. Again, very fun kind of show. This was one of my most difficult shows to light, because every batten had a drop on it. So even like the battens where my lightings was right behind it. So this is actually, it's 4 drops, and you can't really see it. So you got a hard portal here. There's a drop. Here's a drop, and then there's the drop in the back. And then you had this kind of stage thing in the middle. But real fun show. Did some front lighting down here at the bottom. But again, you have to be able to create that ambiance. So you go from that to, here's the Beast's Lament, right? So very different look, very different uses of color. Some gobo breakups over here. We had a star curtain for that one, which was pretty cool. And but yeah, so you have to be able, when you're, again, with lighting, understand the show, and what works and what wouldn't work. So if I couldn't use a Godspell plot with Beauty and the Beast, it doesn't make sense. So that's one. This was what we just did before COVID. So this is Addams Family, and there happens to be my daughter right there, Madeline. She played Morticia. And so this one was fun because, a lot of shows, use haze, and and it's sometimes it's like, oh, here we go again. Here's the haze. They're going to do something. I just used haze throughout the entire show, which I've normally never do. But it's Adam's Family, so everything's dark. And this is, you talk about when you create something and it just accident. Look at this. This is accident. I didn't even mean for this to happen. This here on the fence is actually hot glue, and it's hot glue that we had a hose behind it, and we shot it on here, and it really does look like a spider webs. But more importantly, I love how the light caught it. And so for me, again, that's an oopsie. I didn't expect to get that. I knew I had the haze. I knew I was going to have some backlight. But man, that you talking about the bonus of having just things that work out. And then here's another show that's pretty interesting. So that boat is a flat boat. There is no shape to it at all. So it's pretty funny that it actually looks like the front of a ship, other than we determined that the waves, when the scenic designer painted them, they were backwards. So if you look at the waves, are kind of coming in where they should be going out. It's all right. It happens. A little use of gobos over here. Man, it's sunny. And then what is the Little Mermaid without Ariel? You guys might recognize that person too. Yeah, you didn't know I was going to show pictures of you, Chelsea. But this was fun because all of the set, we had this translucent reflective paint, so that when I hit it with a black light, you got these really cool, interesting colors. And so a lot of the set, I just blacklit, and it just made it so cool. And you can see up here how some of the stuff's glowing. And then of course she's flying during this. She's going back and forth, and just, it was really, really cool. We had all these other pieces on the side, but interesting. And I want the only reason I use this picture was because being Ariel, most of the time Ariel's in her bathing suit, right? I mean, let's call it what it is, right? Ariel's in a bathing suit. Well, guess what you can't have visible in a bathing suit? A mic pack, right? So we had to specially create a mic pack, and it's right there in the corner, right there. You can barely see. I think actually that's your cable picking it, but you never saw that mic pack. But so she had the mic pack right here the entire show, and never complained about how, I'm sure, uncomfortable that was. But yeah, you have to find ways to make things work. And then this was just what we just did in the fall. And you notice now everyone has masks on. So this was our COVID show. This is Bright Star. And it was really fun because no one was doing live theater. So to even be able to do live theater was pretty cool. And then we did the broadcasting of it, but using these hard portals as canvases, and it really, really worked out. And then then you get those gut wrenching moments of the show, right? This is it's the last song before the end of the show, and that's my daughter too. So it was really cool for her to be in that. And but what's interesting is working in the operating room, wearing a mask was not foreign to me at all. So communicating with your eyes was, again, it's the way I used to always communicate. But it was funny to see how high school kids learned how to communicate with their eyes, because you couldn't see any other facial expression. So really, really cool. But again, some of it's luck. I mean, a lot of what I do is, okay, I think this color is going to look good. Okay, let's see what it looks like. And oh man, I don't like how that looks on someone's costume. So we change it. So that's pretty much about lighting. Any questions about lighting in general? Nope. Awesome sauce. All right. Sound. So I will tell you right now, I can forgive lighting mistakes, but sound mistakes drive me absolutely crazy. And when you have sound and the correct use of sound, it can really make or break a production. And so what do I mean by that? When you're in rehearsals and you're teching with your kids, that, hey, Blake is going to say a line. So I want to make sure Blake's mic is on before Blake says his line. I don't wait till Blake starts to talk to turn his mic on. That drives me more crazy than ever. And that's just something that, you know, you have to take a deep breath and help the student understand that it's okay. The actor's not going to talk before they need to say their line. So you can put their mic on the line before, and so you're not hearing that and answer, you know, where they start talking and then you get halfway through it. The other thing too is not EQing your sound, right? We spend tons of money. Every theater, when they have their wireless headsets, whether it's Shure, whether it's Sennheiser, you know, whatever they're using, and to not take the time during your tech week to make sure the sound is right, so that it's almost like the very first show is you're testing your sound, is just, to me, it's just, I feel it's unacceptable, because you've got the time to prepare for it, and nothing ruins a scene other than not being able to hear them, or having nasty feedback, or it doesn't sound natural. So when I talk about like space and you talk about theater, you have to know your space, you have to know your equipment, you have to know the show, and then you have to be able to be creating a soundscape. So this is my fun part. So I think I did this right. I think I forgot to click something about showing sharing your audio. I don't know. I'll try it, and if you can't hear it, I'll have to stop it and do it again. But anyway, so you have to know your space. So this is what we use. We have a Yamaha LS9. It's a 16 channel or 3264. So it actually has two different levels. The first level, I have 28 wireless microphones. And then when I go to the second level, so when I go through 33 through 64, it's all the hardwired stuff and monitors and all that fun stuff. I had never worked with this board before I came to New Albany. I had never worked with a digital board. I'd always worked with an analog board. And I can tell you that, thank goodness I had that analog experience. It's the same thing, but now everything's up here, right? So where I would have all the dials on an analog board, they're all up here digitally displayed. There's no difference other than the fact I could get a lot more out of this than I could out of a regular board. It has its own built-in effects. It has all built-in cues. So I can set this up and they can run this board like you would run a light board, and you just hit Q, 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 go, go, and then it would absolutely would correct itself based upon levels, everything. And again, problem with students is we'll start out, and at the beginning of every show, we always take the time for the actors to come out. They say a couple lines, they sing a song, they sing part of the stuff. And again, I don't understand this. When they walk off the stage, they forgot that they've done that, because when they come out the second time to actually do the show, it's right. You know what I mean? It's like you can't hear them. And so I set this up and it's a straight line. And when I come back, my soundboard op fader jockeys. And what that means is they consider always moving up and down the faders versus simply adjusting a gain. And that makes everything nice. My board op, who's a senior this year, has finally bought into the whole, you don't have to have peaks and valleys on your soundboard. You can set it at one level and just to tweak it a little bit by the gain, and you're good to go. But so that's the soundboard. So you have to know what you've got there. And then placement of a microphone. Okay, I can tell you right now, let me see everything around me. I'll just use this. Right, this is just a cord, right? Nothing bothers me like this, right? What is that doing? This is not Madonna singing, okay? The microphone should never be in someone's mouth. And I just saw a production 2 weeks ago where they put the microphone, and I swear that poor girl, if she would have taken too deep a breath, it would have went straight in her mouth. Okay. These are the correct placements. Right at the temple. If you got a wig, you put it right at the center, or a lapel mic should be just down mid chest. Okay. That's the quote unquote Bible as it relates to regular placement. Now, sometimes you got to get creative, right? So every one of these actors have a belt pack. And so it makes it really easy. And I just brought up for Chelsea, we couldn't do a belt pack. So we had to create something very specific for her in that role. I've had to do that in other roles as well when you have multiple changes, especially wigs. And so we've got it down pat right now so that every actor has a wig cap, whether they need it or not. And so the actual microphone is under the wig cap. so they can take their wigs off as much as they want to, and it never affects my sound. And I put just a little piece of tape right up at the center of the head. You really cannot tell if you came and saw a show at New Albany, other than the tympanic ones, because you can't do anything about that. But if it's a wig mic, you won't ever be able to tell there's actually a wig mic there, which just again comes from trial and error and a lot of luck. The other piece of sound is the soundscaping. So let me just tell me, can you hear this? Nope, I knew it. I knew that was going to happen. Okay, hold on. So I have to do escape. I have to stop sharing. How do I do the stop sharing? Stop share. And I have to do share, share sound, screen 2, share. Now you see my little Storts background there, right? Okay, now you should be able to see this here. See that? Yep. Now can you hear it? Here we go. Okay. So listen to that. That is the dungeon scene for Shrek. All right, so this is before Farquaad comes in and does his little singing and dancing, okay? So what's interesting about that is it's very hard to just try to steal a dungeon soundtrack, right? You don't. And also it's against the law. So so I have subscribed to a couple different audio background noises. So that is a combined of this. So here's the torch sound. Whoops, gotta go back. Back. So here's the torches. Sounds like torch burning or fire burning. Here's the water. Right? You get some wind. This one, I recorded it too loud at first, so it sounds really weird. Oh, that's chains going. You hear the chains going. And then you hear it's really loud at first, sorry. Now it's lower. Just kind of a dull wind. Then you got the door closing. Right? So all 5 of these together, like this. So what was fun about Shrek was it was the first time that I have done surround sound in an auditorium. And so I had the opportunity, and we had the regular speakers for the show. Then I had 2 speakers that were hidden behind 2 muslin created trees. I had 2 speakers that were on the side of the audience, and then I had 2 on stands in the very rear of the balcony, right? And so I was able to, with my Digimax, I was able to actually send different sounds to each of those speakers. So it really so when you came into the scene, you heard the drip on this side, then you hear it on the other side, you'd hear it in front of you, you'd hear it behind you. It just was a great way to, create that feeling of being immersed in the show. And so they forget about that piece of it. All right, so this one I'm gonna do backwards. So here is birds chirping. Yay, okay, we all heard birds chirp, right? Why do I keep doing that? I'm really bad at this, sorry guys. Here's a rooster. Okay, on every farm we have chickens. Okay, gotta have a cow. Right, and they talk about feeding the pigs in Wizard of Oz. Pig. Oh, there it goes again. Sorry, guys. And then finally, sheep. Okay. Yeah, that sounds like really creepy. But that's how the sound effect when I purchased it came. All right. So imagine again, you're coming in to New Albany Theater Arts. The doors just open. There is the background here. Now this is already in a scene, but imagine it being right before sunrise. All right. So I had a 30-minute lighting cue that would gradually illuminate the cyc or the backdrop here, put a little bit of glow on the house. And when the audience members walked in, they heard this. It wasn't this loud, but the point being is that when they walked in, they saw that, they saw a farmhouse. They're like, oh, okay, I get it. I hear chickens, I hear goats and sheep and cows and all that fun stuff. So very, very kind of fun part of it. And it takes a lot of time. And I didn't realize how long it really took on this one, because this one was, I was really into it until I had to create the soundscape for Grease, right? So everyone knows Grease has that amazing creepy scene when he's singing Alone at the Drive-In, right? So you have to have your actors and actresses that are recording the lines on this stupid, scary movie scene. So I did both the actors, or all three of the actors we recorded. So I have a nice recording gear, and I took it to the school, and we did the whole thing with mics and headsets and all that fun stuff. And so then I had to find a royalty-free copy of, it's the movie called Them. Okay. It's about ants, killer ants. 1958 was when that movie came out. So it not only was it a horrible movie, but it had a horrible soundtrack, which played perfectly into the creation. And so you add that in. So then I had to add some chorus so that you got that kind of the echo of a speaker at a drive-in, then the film projector, and all that fun stuff. So that really took me a long time. So I got it all together. I loved it. We used it on Wednesday of this week. It was the first time we were able to actually, we were using sound along with the just a regular full run. And it got to the end of it, and hey, oh, and he's got to be in the big stock car race. Holy, it's a whatever, full moon, and then you hear the howling, and then I kind of had it trail off. So that took a lot of time to build. So then Miss Miller goes, I like it, but can we just have that music continue to play through until he sings Alone at the Drive-In? I'm like, damn it, I just took all the time to do that. Now I have to go back in because I'd already cut it, right? And I took all the levels and mashed them down. And so, yeah, I spent another 2 hours recreating that whole thing for her. But now she's happy because it goes all the way through between Alone at the Drive-In. But it's just fun, right? And a lot of things that you do, you think back with the old radio shows and the Foley artists, right? That's where it came from. And, you'd have a set of shoes, and they just hear someone walking, or they'd have a little bitty door, and you could knock and you open the door and close there, all kinds of really fun stuff. But soundscape to me has been very, very fun, and just a whole part of the experience. Any questions about sound? Awesome. All right. For you all, theater educators, you're going to have your own programs. You have to know how to market your programs if you want to continue to be able to fill the seats and stuff. So the first thing I'm talking about is these 5 pieces, right? So creating a brand, successful marketing campaigns, creating a theme, extending your show to the community, and best practices. All right. So let's talk about marketing. All right. So this is our marketing. When we came to New Albany Theater Arts, we did not have a logo. It's just New Albany Theater Arts. So Miss Miller worked with a designer she knows, and we had them create this logo for us. So you have the comedy and the tragedy. And it's just, but it frames really, really nicely. So that is now, when anyone sees this logo, I don't care how far you are away from it, it's taken time, but now everyone associates that with New Albany Theater Arts. It's on all of our posters. It's on our swag. We even got involved with the COVID. So we have actually New Albany Theater Art masks. We have coolers, little coolie things. And then, you know what? I invested in a glass gobo with it, because when anyone wants to come in and use the stage and it's just something, I can put that puppy right up there, and it's always marketing. It's creating our brand. So critical, because you want I don't want to be associated with any competitive theater programs. I want people to understand that when they see this, they know exactly what they're going to get. And so over the last, 7 years, we have had a show chosen for main stage at International Thespian Festival. I've taught at the festival. We had received the Outstanding Theater Award. I've received 7 um, Broadway World Awards for design and lighting, and we've got it for actors and actresses too. And it's all associated with this, right? So important. And just as this can be good, it can be poor for you as well if you have people that don't understand what it means to wear that piece, right? Because you're representing, so you are representing Ball State. So that's what you have to think about when you go to your new school and you think about what you're going to do. And this is so important. It's on every newsletter, every ticket order form, social media. I mean, that's our little, instead of having a picture of Crit Fisher, it's a picture of New Theater Arts, and that's how we use it. And again, creating your brand, every form of social media, right? And I don't like social media that much, so I let Miss Miller do that because she loves to just tweet and whatever the heck, whatever the other stuff is, the Insta shame, right, right, and Snap crap, whatever those are. Those there's stuff. I mean, actually, I turned off the notifications on my phone because I was just getting it too much, but it's all good. So creating your brand, right? So what's the second part about marketing, right? It's understanding the people and using people who you know. So this is Charnette Bailey. Charnette Bailey is a graduate of New Albany High School. She was also understudy for all three of the roles in Hamilton on the tour. Right. So she graduated from our school and it was super cool. So when she was in town for Hamilton, she came in and talked to our students and did an acting workshop. And that was super nice. It's super great. We had the opportunity to work with that and see what I have in the background. How nice is that? So I can mark it and say Charnette Beatty was here. She put this on her Facebook site and whatever. And there's New Albany Theater Arts right there in the background, prominently displayed. Right. As a photographer, I think about those things. And then also, you guys may recognize this person from Legally Blonde. She actually lives right down the street, 45 minutes in Lexington, Kentucky, and she came up and did an intensive workshop for us as well. And it was just, again, what a great opportunity to work with people who are professionals and giving it back. So I think that's also part of the brand, right? Is knowing people who are out. I mean, we've had people that are doing film. We have people that are doing Broadway. We have tours. You name it. It's great. It's a great thing. And so being able to use that as educators, don't as part of your brand is also the graduates from your schools. And so making sure that you keep up with them. Also, guess what? You got to raise money, right? And sometimes you think you beat the fundraising tree. We do this every year. This right here. All right. This is Mark's Feed Store. It's a little barbecue place down the street. They give us a day and you get 15% from every order that comes in that turns this little thing in there. Right. So that's great. Guess what? I don't have to do anything except for print this little brochure out. We do bargain breakfast. We did this in conjunction with a yard sale. Everything was donated, including the pancakes by Chris Cakes. He donated it. So every single thing we did from that was profit, 100% profit. Everyone volunteered. It was awesome. We also did a thing with a meet and greet with Santa for our mini musical. Worked great. And then a golf scramble. So golf scramble takes a little more time, but we're now going in. We had our second year. Our first year we had 18 teams. This last year we had 30 teams. So it's awesome, right? It's just going to grow. And so now it becomes an annual thing. And so people start asking about, hey, when's the golf tournament going to happen? So that's the part about that, which I love. And then you have to be able to, when you're marketing, help fix things that go with the show, right? So when we did My Fair Lady, we had a Royal Ascot tea. So, all the blue-haired ladies got to come in and have tea and biscuits and, it was great. And it was additional on top of their ticket. So they paid for their ticket, but then they paid a little extra for this tea. And we had the whole lobby we had a canopy and just beautiful. It was just gorgeous. And so we had that. We did Princess for a Day. All right. We've done that a couple different times. Hey, nothing is better than seeing, 130 little kids come in who want their picture taken with Belle or want their picture taken with Ariel. And Chelsea will know because we did that right before a show. And, she was exhausted by the time the show came. This one was pretty cool. We did a VIP night, right? So you bought your ticket, and our tickets are cheap. Our tickets for adults are $12. So you paid an extra $4. You got to go to the Day by Day Cafe. We had live music. We had hot hors d'oeuvres. All the and here's how we helped. We used our students who work in food and beverage who are going towards that. They cooked all the food. They did all the setup, and so we partnered with other entities within the school. We do that as well with the art department too. We let them display art pieces. In fact, for Grease, we actually have all of the art in the show is all art from our art students. So it's super cool that, hey, you know what? That might sell extra 2 or 3 tickets because my piece of art's on the set. I've never had that happen. I want to come see the show. Hey, my mom and dad want to see it too. Hey, that's my piece of, that's my drawing up there. And then we did a Wizard of Oz fair and all these things. Again, think about it. It's so easy, but you have to be organized. You have to put the time into it. But the rewards are great. So we're got another show that's coming up. We'll do in the fall, which is a kid-friendly show. So we're going to do some sort of kid-friendly thing again because that really, really helps. And it helps your program grow as well. So we talked about Princesses for a Day. So this is the Princess for a Day with Belle. And go figure, we did it in our library. Didn't cost anything. This here is actually just extra extra stuff we had in the costume room. We just threw it up on top of one of the bookshelves and became a great backdrop. And then of course we have to show the Ariel. And this here was fun because again, marketing. We created this drop. So at every show, people are getting their selfies and stuff in front of this drop. It's great with their actors and friends, whatever. This was actually part of the set. This was actually for the show. So we actually wheeled that out there, and we had, oh gosh, Chelsea, probably 150 kids and coming through, and they all got to create this little thing here. I don't know, it was like, I don't know, some little wavy thing, and they waved it during the show. I don't even remember what it was, but it just really, it's part of the thing, right? And then the final piece is about getting back to your community, right? So you want to be able to go out to your community and show you all, what you're doing. So we always do a Broadway camp. We didn't do it this past summer, but it's great for new kids coming in. It's a great opportunity to recruit, new people. We have this light up New Albany. Again, we're in New Albany, Indiana, a little bitty area right across from Louisville. And right there, New Albany Theater Arts. So this poster we didn't pay for, but these posters were all over town. And there's that, they knew it. And we're also here, New Albany Theater Arts Mini Musical, in front of everything else. We were the top bill. We take this on the road. It's about a 15-minute show, and we do every elementary school in our region. So we do 2 full days of around 7 of these setups every time. And then finally, we do a money minute in the spring, and we raise money for Camp Quality. Camp Quality is a camp for kids with cancer. And we've been able to, over the last 6 years, send 2 people full expenses paid every year to Camp Quality over the summer through our Money Minute. So giving back to the community. And that's pretty much all I got to say about that. I covered a bunch of ground. This is Once on This Island. We did a remake of that. This was fun because I got an award for all 3 aspects of it. So I designed the set, I designed the lighting, and I designed the sound. And that was about killed me over the summer because this set was actually used at the amphitheater for the Jungle Book Kids. So I built the set actually for us, but it actually went out and someone else used it before we even got a chance to use it for our production. But anyway, that's it. So questions? If you don't have any, I'm gonna be really disappointed because Chelsea said that you guys never are quiet. You always talk. Oh, nice, Jake. You raised your hand. You don't have to raise your hand.
My question is like, where is a good place to go to like find people like you that like do high school, like to do high school designs, like where would we go to find people to come into our schools to do that for us?
It's all about relationships. So there are tons of different blogs and stuff. USITT is the main organization for myself that I belong to, and that's for sound lighting designers in the profession. And there's a lot of people that I've met through that. And then it's also just by asking around, right? So depending upon where you wind up at the end of the day, there's always someone that's out there that has done theater in the background. I mean, it really, for me, it's just kind of been there. It's not what I do for a living, but it's always kind of been there. And through the relationships is how I've kind of made my way through. And then, Facebook they just started a theater design educators page. So I would encourage you to go look at that just to be a part of it as students and future educators, because there's some great questions on, oh, how do I use this? Or I've got this old board, and everybody has an old board somewhere. I still have an old board at school. So that's probably the best way. And then, again, utilizing other people that that are in the profession too. But it's not like they're out there, you just pick it off a tree. It's just, and a lot of times too, Jake, is it really depends upon um, where they are in their career, right? If I'm an educator and I'm teaching at a school and I'm teaching tech theater, it makes sense that that's an extension of what I'm going to do as part of that, right? A lot of people who are in the professional, it's sometimes it becomes just money, right? So I get a stipend from the school, but that stipend I just donate right back to the school because I don't. It's not. I enjoy doing it. It's fun for me. Um, so yeah, that money comes sometimes with it, and then also it's what's their role. So if you've got a technical director, and you want to be very conscientious to not step on people's toes. And I mean, I'm not, this is nothing new to you all. You know that as fun and as welcoming and as loving as a theater community is, you burn a bridge, that travels a lot faster than the good things that you're doing. So just making sure that you're not stepping on each other's toes too. And I've had that. Unfortunately, my first technical director I worked with um, did not like that I had lighting and sound background because I was taking their job away, and that's not what I was doing. That's not what I wasn't even hired to do that initially, right? So anyway,
Another question I have then,
thanks,
um,
Jake, because no one else wants to talk, and I can't believe that Chelsea's mic is muted. That is crazy.
Okay, I have
um,
Welcome.
questions for you. I'll step in a second. Go
Oh,
ahead.
good. I mean, yeah. Thank you. Go ahead, Jake. Sorry.
so I know we have some people that like may have never have they don't have any like lighting experience. What is your biggest advice to someone walking into a new space that doesn't have that background? Or like what's like something that you can tell them like biggest tip or something like that for people that are walking in brand new?
Listen, right? I mean, because a lot of times someone knows something about the system that's in there. They may not know everything about it. I still can't get Miss Miller to not to. I've got a board that has LED displays that says what this slider is going to do on a sub, and she will still take that damn board tape and tape it on there and write a damn note on it. And it drives me crazy when I come back, excuse my language, but I've got board tape all over a board that's digital that says exactly what's, and she'll write, it says, side boom, and she'll write in white, with the white tape and black side boom. I'm like, it's right there. Well, I can't see it. Well, whatever. And then, don't be afraid to just to ask other people within the profession too. I can tell you, when I first came to New Albany, the equipment whoever purchased their equipment got sold a bill of goods because it was trash. It was old strand lighting stuff, and the back, it was horrible. I called all of them a Frankenstein because I was stealing parts from others to make them work because they just wouldn't work. And so, yeah, so not understanding lighting, but how to turn lights on and turn lights off. And sometimes that's kind of where it starts, Jake, is just asking, hey, how do I turn the board on? What kind of board do you have? Um, and then not being afraid of spending an afternoon in there trying to just turn stuff on, turn stuff off. I mean, that's kind of, and I still, I mean, I have weird people ask weird questions. I went into I talked about Charleston High School, and I went to Charleston High School this probably 2 or 3 months ago because they had an issue with their board. Say we got an issue with our board, and I go in and all the lights are doing this random flashing, and I'm like, what the heck? I've never. And I was there for 4 hours trying to figure out what if a kid programmed something in on the board. No, it wasn't. It was actually the card in the dimmer was busted, and so therefore it was not receiving any signals from the board. And I had to reach out to professional people to come in who also spent 4 hours trying to figure out what it was. So after 8 hours, someone had the bright idea was, hey, maybe it's the card. Let's take that out and see if that works. And guess what? That fixed it.
Crit knows way too much about me and my technical theater non-existent skills. But beside that, you also are just like, very obviously, because I asked you to come back, like you build great relationships with your students too. What hints or tips do you have for like working with students, especially in that like technical background where you're like
Sure.
trying to teach them everything at the same time?
Well, I think for me, it's just that to understand they are students, right? And you all know, and because you've worked within your own department, I'm sure there, but then also where you came from, that there are kids that are just, I guess, just wired to be able to do certain things better than other kids. And so that doesn't mean that I can't take a kid that doesn't know anything about lighting and teach them how to do it. But I have to always, in the back of my mind, I have to keep checking and thinking, okay, these are students. These are students. And and then you find a dime in the rough. I got a freshman. This kid is as meek as they could be this year. He's in ROTC. He's maybe 100 pounds wet. Super nice kid, very quiet. He was afraid to even talk to me when he put his headset on. I had him do spot op. I thought, hey, that's a great. He wanted to do lighting. I thought that was a great thing for him to start out on. That kid has not missed a single cue. He is natural at bringing the light on, bringing the light on. He doesn't dance with the people. Some people will dance with them. You've seen it, dancing with the spotlight. Kids gets it on and off, smooth. Never touched the spotlight ever. So that's the kid that I'm going to say, okay, now guess what you're going to do next year? You're going to learn the board. You're going to learn a little bit more stuff. Not that you're not a great spot op, but hey, I need to be able to do that. So that's important piece, Chelsea, is to understand that they are students. And then the other thing, and it's very, very important. This is and this is just in general, right? They're students. You will be an adult, all right? And so conversations that they're having, and you hear them talking about, sometimes you have to just kind of tune it out. I don't want to I don't want to be a part of those kind of conversations. So at the end of the day, I'm an adult and they're a student, and there's a line there. And and even Chelsea, as close as Chelsea and I were at school, there was that line was very much there, and she knew it. But if she ever had a question, she could always come and talk, and I'd listen. But I'm not Chelsea's parent, and Skylar, you're not going to be your kid's parent, Jake, whoever, right? So it's important to understand that you are that adult and you're the extension of what their family is. Now, depending upon where you go and where you end up, New Albany High School is a very poor high school. And so for some kids, I became the father figure because they didn't have that, right? I'm fine with that. I treat every kid exactly the same, whether they're people that, I mean, even Chelsea, even kids that people didn't like, I like everybody. And so that's important too, because there's going to be that kid that you just want to strangle them to death. And you still got to be able to treat them the same way as you treat your favorite kids, and understand that kids aren't stupid too, and they'll pick up on those favorite things left and right, because as a student, you're the best thing ever, and you can't really understand that how there are people that are more talented. And Miss Miller uses this saying all the time, and I love it. From New Albany, we had an amazing basketball player. It was Mr. Indiana, right, for basketball. He plays for Boston Celtics now. He spent 1 year at IU. And she says he's the best player on that team. And if you think that the coach is going to start someone who's a freshman who never played basketball in his place, you're crazy. It's the same for theater, right? There are kids that you're going to go to because they are your dependable kids. I mean, you know who they are. And so that with that trust, you also have to be able to balance that out with sharing the love with the kids who are maybe not as talented, because everybody makes the production, and nothing sticks out like a cast member who doesn't really want to be there, even if they're in the course. It's crazy, isn't it? You all have, how many shows you all seen? I mean, hundreds, right? And you can sit there and you can watch that show and you pick out that kid that's amazing, that's having the best time of their life. But equally, you pick out the kid who said they'd rather be somewhere, anywhere else but where they are right now. It happens. And so it's about finding that blend. I hope that kind of answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. It is 6:05, so if anyone needs to go anywhere, you're good. If anyone has any other questions,
Yeah, please.
if
I
I don't know,
I have 10 minutes. I got going to see Footloose tonight at one of the other high schools. So, and that's another thing too. Be sure that wherever you end up, that you support the arts, regardless of if it's one of your biggest competitor schools. Um, you know, it just the theater community is very, very small. So, you know, people will remember that. Thanks, Catherine. Appreciate it. Yeah, any other questions? No. Well, hey, you know, thank you all so much for the time. I really appreciate it. Some incredible smiling faces here, bucket hats and all, overalls, you know, whatever it is, and then Chelsea in the middle square, at least on mine. But you know, Chelsea, you know, you have my contact information. Please feel free to share it with your group. You know, obviously, when you become, you know, right now you're students, doesn't matter. You're going to be professionals before you know it, and you know, please at any point, you know, feel free to reach out, and because the community's small, and there may be someone I may be able to, like you said, Jake, how do you find somebody? Maybe I know somebody who's moving up north, or I don't, wherever you wind up being, right? Maybe I know people. So thank you.
thank you, Crit.
No problem.